Tony with RealFixItRealFast.com. We're working on a Ram 2500, working on taking the rotor off. Some of these vehicles have been used for plow trucks and different things. There may be some rock salt and builds up corrosion and some crud in there. Anyway, it can be very difficult to get the rotors off. There's 4 bolts like this that come in from the back of this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you'll back them off about 1/8 of an inch, about to where my thumbnail is from this shoulder. If you backed it off too far, then you're only going to have a couple of threads up in there showing, and you're going to strip it. So you don't want to go more than maybe 1/8 of an inch. But if you'll back all 4 of them off of 1/8 of an inch, then as that's in there, you'll take a tool, put it up against the head of that, which will allow it to be used as a press. And as it's pushing up against the head of that, you turn the tire to the wheel, start the vehicle, turn the wheel to the left, allows this extension to be set up in here. Well, as it's set up in here and it's touching the head of that bolt, then you turn the wheel to the right and it makes a press out of that, and it presses on that bolt until you end up with this no longer having an 1/8 inch clearance, but it'll go back to flat again. When it goes back to flat again, you want to back it off 1/8 of a turn again. Well, as you backed it off 1/8 of a turn, it allows you to go back in here, turn the wheel to the left, gives you clearance to get it in, turn the wheel to the right, makes a press out of that again, and within 2 trips, it will have pushed these loose. Then you finish taking the bolts out. You do want to make sure that you finish taking your ABS line loose. With the plug-in up here, the wire comes down, becomes an internal ABS in this bearing, so it will have to come off with it so that you don't destroy it by the weight of this coming off and jerking your wires out of it.
Don't go by the book. Think like a pirate.
Now after you take your caliper off, you come on the inside and there's bolts here that have to be loosened. There's 4 bolts. They need to be loosened about 1/8 of an inch. You don't want to take them out too much, but we're going to pop this out and you need at least 1/8 of an inch of travel. So you loosen all 4 of them, and then you take a 1/2 inch extension, just a regular old 1/2 inch extension. Now you take that 1/2 inch extension, you put it against the head of that bolt, and you bring it in here. Now you start the truck up and you turn your wheel outward just so that there's enough space for this 1/2 inch extension to come in here against the inner part of where the axle goes in. Then you start your truck up and you use the power steering to turn this wheel back inward, and it should pop that out. And you just turn it real slow. Whoa! Okay, go back to the right. Okay, back to the left. Okay, back to the left. I'll keep going. Okay, back to the right. Now the key here is that extension has to go on the head of that bolt, and then it comes over here and acts as a spacer, and it lets your power steering pump do all the high pressure to push that rotor off of the bearing hub. Now we only had it unscrewed about 1/8 of an inch. Now we've just unscrewed a little bit more, so we got about 1/4 inch of travel space in there now. Now once we've got those bolts threaded out a little bit more, give us a little bit more travel room, we're going to do it again. Okay, you need to start it
and then you'll get ready to go to the left. Okay. Okay, back to the right. Okay, back to the left. Okay, to the right. Well, the vehicle has been used as a plow truck for rock salt or whatever. There's a lot of surface area on the outside flange here. There's also a lot of surface area, square inches, by the time you figure up this surface here. If that gets a bunch of rust and buildup to it, that's a lot of force that it takes to pull that out of there. As you can see with this camera on this, kind of gives you an idea how much rust is on this rotor and the other parts here. And that can end up making noise against this backing plate, as well as make it difficult to get the hub out of the knuckle.
And that is how it's done.